Hello, everyone at Mindful Life Project. Hope all is well. Happy New Year. Um, can't believe it's 2024. Just start with heartfulness and gratitude. I hope that you had a wonderful winter break, that you're able to reset, rejuvenate, and find great joy. It is that time of year. As I said in my email, January in education feels like you're at the very top, and then the hill is going to go down and fast. So, looking forward to continuing to work together and collaborate and build so that mindfulness in education in our schools can grow from the inside out, having our young people, their educators, and families deeply resourced and connected to practice. And as you all know, those of you who've been doing this since the beginning of the year or previous years, Rise Up is a very special and important program and space for us as an organization. It is our flagship program. It is what my third graders and I first came up with as an organizational program back in 2012. And you've been teaching, right, Rise Up program, and you know the beauty, the power, the challenges, the growth, the moments, right, and all in between. So first honoring you on this journey of being an MLP instructor. It is a position that no one else has outside of our org. So it's a very unique one. It is a powerful, beyond words, impact position. And we also know that comes with a lot of work, a lot of dedication, and a lot of growth. And we appreciate every single one of you. So today, just to try to get you the information as soon as possible, as we know that over the next month, we do have this organizational practice of Rise Up transitions. I want to send a video next Tuesday, January 22nd or 3rd. Let me check real quick. Next Tuesday is the 23rd. We will have a whole staff meeting. We'll go much more thoroughly in this and answer any questions you might have as we kind of roll this out. But I wanted to get you the front loading. As we try in education, we try to front load our young people. In Rise Up, we try to front load that mindful skill of the week or that lesson. So when we go to mindful community, they're ready to answer those questions with a lot of confidence, right? And so I want to front load some of the information as we move forward. So number one, Rise Up, right, is a program that weaves in expressive arts, mindful movement, and the performing arts, and of course, our deep mindfulness practices, our mindful skills, so that young people are both creating a space with our coach of belonging, of compassion, of non-judgment, and behavioral health goals and growth, right? And that means that we always have a mixture of students. My third graders were very clear. It was Dulce and Chanel. I remember very clearly. Dulce was like, I want to be in the classes, but I don't get in trouble as much as other kids. And they get to go to the counselor or these organizational things that were happening at our school or whatever it might be. And then, Chanel saying, yeah, well, I'm always going to those things and I'm always in trouble. But, I was in second grade or in first grade, I always get in trouble. And I went to those. It didn't feel good to be there, knowing that I was a troubled kid or whatever was being labeled at the time, right? So we've been inherently since day one about non-judgment. Everyone deserves being Rise Up. Only a select few get in it. And that means that we take this with a lot of excitement and empowerment. And we know that it is just like everything else in life, it is impermanent. Things will shift and change. So part of the growth that we've had as an organization is to have one mindfulness coach on campus the whole year versus back 5-7 years ago, we were still playing with a yoga teacher that would be at school for half the year and then move to another school, an expressive arts teacher that would then shift, vice versa, and our performing arts coaches coming in on Fridays only. And then depending on who, would be mindful community. So we made an intentional decision over the years that the best impact happens when we have a person that's full-time on campus, either those 4 days a week for smaller schools or 5 days a week for our bigger schools. And so that's who you are. You are our coaches, you're our program team, you're the folks who are bringing our mission to life, and we are forever grateful for that. So what we are doing, we're transitioning, and the timeline I'll show shortly, was we wanted to make sure those three main healing modalities, expressive arts, which we did here in the fall, then mindful movement into the winter and spring, are the two main modalities on Mondays. And as we all know, our Friday modality for those schools that are 2 day a week, early and then later in the week. Most of our middle schools are hybrid, so I know this doesn't fully connect with our middle schools in terms of earning swag. So those Rise Up reports, keep on doing those things, get teachers more engaged in them, get them to put notes and yeses and nos for if they've earned it on Thursday evening for our Friday sessions or vice versa. And let's make sure we collaborate with our teachers, understanding that no, Friday has to be earned because that's a trauma-informed lens. A young person who has unhealthy behaviors that gets positive reward is one of the worst things you can do for the behavioral health goals and growth of a young person. So healthy behaviors, healthy reward. Unhealthy behaviors, making sure that we're very clear on where we want them to go and get them there with their own confidence and resiliency. So we're changing modalities here in February from expressive arts to mindful movement. Excited to have Angelo and David and some others that will be leading that training. So you're all very supported in how to lead that modality. And we also shift, right? So this is an interesting point that I kind of want to be clear to it. Traditionally, we know that kids with significant trauma and stress will have to be in very comprehensive wraparound services for multiple years so that they can really increase their behavioral health, their mental and emotional well-being. But that's not always the case. Sometimes young people can grow significantly in 5 months. And we also know that we wanted to bridge young people in a community of practice where sometimes, right, the kids who are getting into issues at schools, behavior issues, problems, disciplinary issues, they tend to migrate towards each other. And young folks who are thriving socially academically, they also tend to go towards each other. And so we're going to build a way to bridge that and can dismantle that wall that happens. And that's what Rise Up programming can do. So in this February transition, over the next few weeks, we will be reevaluating our Rise Up groups. That does mean for the kids who have been struggling with their behavioral health outcomes due to trauma and stress, they should stay in program. If they've been struggling in program, then they should have been moved to 2-on-1s for that 4 to 6 weeks. 2-on-1s is a goal to re-enter when ready to rise up again. So 2-on-1s without Rise Up students, that's different. But for the 2-on-1 sessions that we have for students who have had this goal of re-entering Rise Up, that's 4 to 6 weeks. Achieve that goal, get them back in session. So we're really not hoping that those kiddos that are needing this the most will not be in groups. We want them to stay. There will be conversations though, because some of your schools probably didn't coordinate your Rise Up groups effectively sometimes, or had some students that were newer to the school, and that might need some shifts also. So in general, we're trying to keep the 5 students who were evaluated as having the most behavioral health needs, and the 3 that were evaluated as thriving leaders in social and academic, they're going to transition out. But we want to be very careful in the way we do this from a trauma-informed way. So why? Why are we doing this? Well, 2 things. When I'd walk around campuses when I was leading Rise Up and Mindful Community in the early years of this organization, I always heard young people tell me, I want to be in Rise Up. And that wasn't just kids who were behaving, it was kids who were having a hard time behavior, right? And so I expected them to want to be in it. I want to make it that cool thing. I wanted them to really buy in. And so here's an opportunity to say, like, we're watching you in Mindful Community, we're seeing you in recess, we're trying to get the new Mindful Rise Up students, and that improves the opportunity for more kids on the campus versus just 35 to 40 students. More students engaged, and it breaks down that thought that, okay, these are just Rise Up kids. I won't ever get in that program, and I can't become a part of that program. So those are 2 big whys from the original aspect. The next piece was on the modality. We know that everyone is a different learner. We have our kinesthetic, we got our auditory, we got our visual, we got all the different learning modalities. And yoga and movement are very, very scientifically proven, very similar to mindfulness, healing modalities. And so is expressive arts. So is performing arts. So we wanted to give them the full embodiment. And that's why we had the different modalities. So that's our why behind it. So here's a little timeline just to give you a heads up. And again, we're going to work closely with you and make sure this happens in a way that's as easeful as possible. We know that it isn't easy, but as easeful as possible. So you're getting this video. Today is January 17th. You're going to get this video. You're going to learn about kind of the timeline and things we're doing. I want to be very clear that we will work with you, right? And we also have some objectives as an organization that are compliance. So we get funded about 40% of our funding for our salaries is through contracts with schools. The other 60% is not. And so that's a key piece for us to really focus on. And I do see a typo here, so I'm gonna make sure that that is moved off. But as some of you remember, Greg Mallory was on the team. I see that still in here. So the idea is you got this. We're then gonna reach out to your leaders within the next few days by Monday, no later. So hopefully by 119, it might be 122 if that's Monday. And we're going to let your principals know. We're going to CC you as well. On 126, we're going to cancel the Friday Rise Up Day. And we'll work with you and your school to explain why. We're going to do a virtual mindful movement training, as well as David said he needs to support y'all in the hip hop modality as well. So that's 126. We're going to have you and your schools orient to selecting the Rise Up students in a similar way to what we did in August, September. However, we want to work with you closely. So we're going to ask you to let us know what has been the selection process. What was the way that it worked well? What way did it not work well? What were the gaps? And what do we want to move forward? And then we want to get those final students by the February 2nd date. So then we can submit on February 6th all of the referral documents and get those to Carla and Jose so we can get the new Rise Up reports going. And then February 12th, Monday, February 12th, would be our first Rise Up session, which would begin mindful movement, including some of those new students that have been engaged in. And as always, as an organization that's very much focused on making sure that our team is clear and has ownership, we want you to know who your team is, right? So you know your program specialist. Those of you who currently don't have a program specialist, we will be working with you. There's Tim. Amber's our new program specialist for for Oakley, El Dorado, Antioch Middle, a couple schools in Vallejo. We're still working out the exact details, but you'll have Amber starting shortly. And then Tim and I will be supporting those of you who are going to be moving forward with that one, as Jasmine is still on maternity leave and beyond. Okay, so data team, Jose Carla, myself, the program team, the admin team might be Carolina, Tim, who you'll meet on Tuesday, our new Senior Director of Programs and Operations, and of course, David and Angelo and others that will try to make sure that you're trained up all the way possible and that we're able to move forward on that February 12th. So the Rise Up transition, right? We want to do this from a very healthy way. And we know that young people can have a lot of emotions when transitions happen. I don't know about you. I also can have a lot of emotions. Thank goodness for mindfulness. Transitions, change are inherently a huge part of life. It is the only thing we're guaranteed in life is change. And so learning how to do change and be with transition with our mindfulness skills is literally life altering and changing. So this is a great opportunity to practice it, talk about it, and process it, right? So give us until Tuesday before you announce anything. We're going to talk more about this, but also just wanted you to be ahead of this. So, right, we're going to be careful on the language we're using and be very light on this is not anything like a consequence. This isn't anything about who deserves or doesn't deserve. It's just that there's going to be decisions on who is still in program as Rise Up normally, and you're graduating or not. We can change that language of you graduating or transitioning or moving into other opportunities. One of the things we've really done that's been super amazing, and I would love to see this piloted more and then built out, is what we try to call mindful mentors. So your Rise Up students are 2nd through 6th graders, or in your middle school, 7th and 8th graders, right? What if, and we've done this a few times, where if we get the 5th and 6th graders to then take what they've learned and Rise Up and then go to 1st grade classes once a week on the day that mindful community is not going on and lead a mindful sit or talk about mindfulness. So there's some fun ways that we can really transition them from Rise Up to be able to still engage and be leaders with their practices, right? We'll then create a little short note, transition them so they can see how it's been successful and make sure they know how they're going to be missed, but they're still part of the team. We'll talk more about that. And of course, just tuning in, right? What emotions are arising? What's going on? What do they need? This is not, they're done with Mindful Life. They're still Mindful Community, and they're still core in the Rise Up program forever, right? That's for sure. And getting new referrals, I'm talking fast to get you as much info. You can replay this. We'll do much more time sensitive, more calmed, more explicit when we talk on Tuesday. But when we start doing the referral process, we do have to work with them, right? And some schools are going to be, we're going to ask teachers. Some schools are going to have the principals and the counselors wanting to be a part of this. We know each school is a little different. We just want to know what process is the way they wanted it to be, and then what decision making is done. So we also have part of that decision making power. Specific to you as coaches, and our program team. Okay, and we'll work with your school and work with you so that it is successful as possible. And a lot of this obviously is great collaboration communication. So all of it communicating well with our program team, making sure that you're being supported, making sure we're in the know, and making sure that everything is moving in the right direction for you and the students. We'll talk more about this, but again, I just want to give you a front load of the slides and just some pieces I know might be coming up for you. Um, it's a celebration. We are so proud of our Rise Up students. We're so proud of you, the coaches that have been guiding our Rise Up students, right? And so we really want to emphasize that none of this is done. It's a celebration, a continuation. So we have the $250 per site. I often use that when I was working with students as rewards. Often some fun snacks or some celebrations, some circles are great. And your student leaders may not be the only one who are feeling the transition. So you might notice some of the kids in Rise Up, they're staying in it. Again, don't say this yet. I wanted to give you a heads up. Wait a week or two until we go through this a little more to make the announcements. We're going to start working internally and with our school sites, and then we'll start going externally towards students and teachers once we have that path, right? And again, I'll reiterate, transition is a part of life for us and for our students, right? Modeling how to handle transition is super important. And being able to close, but know that it's not all the way closed is always there too. So we lean in our mindfulness practices. We'll talk more about this, but I just want to say like thoughts and things that you as a coach can tune into. There's lots of opportunities for that Rise Up group, not only just the ones who are transitioning right out of sessions, but those are in sessions. This could be a collaborative where they're still doing things together. And so these are just a few ideas. We'll talk more about them. So comprehensive reports, we've been trying to get these Rise Up comprehensive reports done. The goal was in December. The tech, our platform we use, UpMetrics, has had tech issues. And so it's been a month of Jose and Carla and team trying to get those comprehensive reports done. We're trying to get those to you as soon as possible. We'll make sure that that's part of this process so that your school has what the Rise Up reports over the last 5 months have shown, growths, areas of need, and more. Again, making sure that we're doing our Rise Up reports with accuracy and scoring and making sure we're using discernment, even though it's hard, on the rubric of the 1 to 4 scale in our Rise Up reports, and making sure our teachers are doing that as well. And again, I see a typo there, so apologies. Shout out to Lisbeth though. So as an overall thing, I want to make sure that we kind of close up. This is just information sharing. We will do much more with you on Tuesday, and then our program team will get support to roll this out with you. And again, we do have about a month to do this. So we'll do it strategically, we'll do it skillfully. The part that I forgot to finish, we do have until the 12th to do the transition, but we are running up against time because of some variables. We were trying to get this usually February 5th is when we do the transition. I have pushed it a week knowing that we need another week, but that 12th is a hard stop where we have to move to a mindful movement due to goals and objectives and funding that supports our salaries, specifically coach salaries on the modality. So we have some grants that are specific to mindful movement. There's supposed to be 16 weeks of expressive arts, 16 weeks of mindful movement. And so I just want to make sure that you all are very aware that that is a hard stop. We understand that's challenging, and we're here to work with you so it's not as challenging as it has to be. Wishing you the best, fast talking info session here. Thank you for bearing witness, and we'll be in touch on Tuesday in person. Sorry, on Tuesday virtually, live is what I meant to say, as a whole staff meeting. Looking forward to seeing each and every one of you next Tuesday at 3 o'clock. So much gratitude for all that you do. So much gratitude for what you do for that we see and that we don't see. You are valued. You're just deeply cared about, and we can't wait to keep building. Thanks so much.
The end. Wait, sorry, I didn't read that. It was Alexa?
Yeah.